Hello, and welcome to the Legal Marketing Brief, the series where we showcase attorneys from across the country and learn about the strategies they use to market successful practices. I'm John Simpson, CEO of Convert Marketing. Today, we're sitting down with Kevin Benjamin of Benjamin Legal Services. Based in the Chicago area, Kevin runs a diverse practice that includes bankruptcy, foreclosure, and tax resolution. Working with individuals and businesses, Kevin has been practicing for more than 30 years. We hope you enjoy our discussion with Kevin. Kevin, how did you decide to become an attorney?
Well, actually, I was in college and wasn't quite sure what to do. And I took a business law class actually as an elective. And at the University of Wisconsin, the way it worked is you get there, it's called Reg Week. You get there a week early, everybody parties, but then you go to the bookstore to get your books and you have to get your classes. So I remember actually getting this big brown, thick book with the rest of my books. And I came back to my studio in Wisconsin, and then, I just happened to open up the book. I think I read 5 chapters. So it's just they caught my interest, and I got an A. And then I took other law-related electives and argumentation and debate, and those seemed to hold my interest. And I was talking to my mom and dad about it, and decided maybe there was a signal.
It must have been a signal, Kevin, because I think a lot of college students early in their career, if they got a big, big textbook like that, they probably wouldn't open it up and read it front to back. Were you a business major otherwise?
No, I was an economics major for some reason. And so the business side became electives.
Let's talk a little bit about Benjamin Legal Services. So talk to me about the scope of the services that you provide today, because it is rather broad.
Consumer and business. We do a lot of bankruptcy, Chapter 7, Chapter 13, Chapter 11, individual and business. We do foreclosure-related stuff, like there's some state court helping people get out of foreclosure, restructure their mortgages, or stop foreclosure and save their homes. And we do tax resolution, mostly IRS tax controversy, tax resolution, resolving things. Because the tax resolution and the bankruptcy, the way you analyze things in the doc, it's really very similar. So I've always kind of been doing it, and I just got more into it with the marketing, especially after COVID, just to identify different streams and go from there. But in bankruptcy, people have tax issues. Sometimes it is chargeable, sometimes not. Sometimes people come to me with large tax issues. They don't know it could be discharged, or maybe got to resolve it with the IRS, but maybe they got other debts too. I do things other tax resolution people or lawyers actually can't do. I'm also a member of the U.S. Tax Court. My job is to analyze people for whatever solution they need, what other option or options, the pros and cons. You may have more than one option. What's the price structure? Help you make an informed decision.
And how did you come to practice in this particular area?
Well, out of law school, I was doing like some litigation and injury stuff, and reading a lot of medical reports, and just kind of bored. And I was actually starting like a consumer credit business, and I thought it would go nicely with the bankruptcy. And I was also looking for jobs for a friend of mine who was graduating law school. He was out of state, but back then, this is before the internet, so you just go like your law school downtown, go to resource center. There's like a little book, and people, and I saw a bankruptcy person, and I thought about it, credit and bankruptcy. And I didn't know anything about bankruptcy, and I never took it in law school or anything. I got the job, and I thought it was very interesting. And then it kind of took off because that kind of helped me start my own firm, because I got so much credit business that the person I worked for let me run that out of the office, because a lot of them needed bankruptcy. Because the first step to getting your credit fixed is get out of debt. So people will call, I need my credit fixed. And you start talking to them like, well, you actually need to probably, you got a lot of debt. People don't understand debt taking ratios, or all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of, took off. I go to seminars, pass my cards out, pound the pavement, some ads in the paper, stuff like that. And plus, bankruptcy court is federal. And in Chicago, as you're from Chicago, so there's, Cook County. I never like going to Cook County court. It's always like a zoo. There in the morning, everyone's pounding the elevator. It's just a nightmare. And I go to federal court. It's like, oh, so nice. Saying, and it's like 2 floors, but they connect. And you can walk up the stairs, one floor, and everyone knew each other. So I kind of liked it.
I wanted to ask about trends. You mentioned COVID before, particularly when you talk to bankruptcy lawyers. There's been sort of an up and down over the last 5 years. I'm curious from where you sit. What are you seeing today in 2025 that might have been different than it was 10 years ago? Like, are there any particular trends in terms of who's coming to you, the types of matters you're looking at, the types of issues you're seeing?
When I first got into this, like a long time ago, bankruptcy filings always increased, and it was like good times, bad times. Good times people get more credit, and bad times people file. So there's always people filing no matter what. Never thought about a worldwide health crisis to put me out of business because I thought I was diversified. You'd sevens, 13s, 11s, do foreclosure stuff, but it's all tied together. So in COVID, we were basically shut down. I mean, it's like just nothing because people were getting money on unemployment more than they were paying. So they had money. Nobody could sue you. Nobody could foreclose. Nobody could collect. So there was like nothing, even when it came about. So for several years, there was no business. So it got more into the tax resolution and some other things. Last couple of years, it's coming back. It's back to normal. People are getting sued again in foreclosure. Those forbearances are over. Wage assignments, stuff like that. IRS is my friend. They're coming after people right now, starting last year, but more so this year, pounding levies, notices. So the trend is, people are filing again, corporate and business.
Yeah, I was going to ask you specifically about business. So does the same hold true for business where there weren't a lot of business bankruptcies in the early days of the pandemic, but we're seeing those escalate now?
Yeah, I mean, the few cases I had during the pandemic were mostly like Chapter 11s, which could be individual or business. I do both.
I'm curious how you go about sourcing a business bankruptcy client versus like a consumer bankruptcy client. I mean, I know obviously we work with you to advertise for foreclosure and so forth, which tends to be more consumer oriented. Is bankruptcy more referral based, word of mouth, or how does that work?
At this point, I get someone just called an hour ago as a referral. I get referrals, but I don't market a lot for Chapter 7s. I used to be a Volume 7 person years ago. Not really interested in, I mean, if someone needs a 7, I'll do it. But to pay the marketing dollars to just chase a lot of people that are just, everyone else is calling and they're not organized and they can't make up their mind. And, I work out payments with people, but it's just a lot of busy work. The actual work is easy. If someone actually is organized and just listens to me, I can get the case done pretty quick. But the 13s are restructuring. People have different, usually it's like maybe stopping foreclosure, getting your car back or your driver's license, or maybe you can't file because you filed 7 in the last 8 years or something like that. So there's different reasons for filing 13s. Some lawyers don't like the 13s. I actually do. And those people actually need more help because, maybe they're being garnished or again, the house, so you get it's a little more rewarding than just, someone who hires you on Chapter 7 and then goes AWOL on you and then comes back 9 months later. And then now you're starting over again because people don't understand. You have to get certain documents and background. And every month it changes. And so you always need more documents and you're always revising things. It's just more busy work. It's like, just file your case, so that's on a 7. But 13s we market online. There's Chapter 11. It's hard to market online. Those kind of just come. A tax resolution could be Google pay-per-click or SEO, Facebook ads we're doing now also.
One of the things we talked about when we were chatting before was the fact that you take a boutique approach to your clients. So, how would your clients describe your services?
Well, I guess you have to ask them, but they seem pretty happy because when you get the personal service, a lot of especially in tax resolution, there's a lot of these national companies pounding the airwaves, TV, they tell you whatever you want to hear. And I get a lot of people who hire them, coming. And I get someone just called like an hour and a half ago. It's like, you're in Chicago, right? I can come see you. But by appointment, you can, yeah. But, sure, So, I don't need to see you, but yeah, I'm a real person. I'm a lawyer. I'm not a call center. And I'm the one who you'd be talking to. And I've been one who's handling your file. Same with the bankruptcies. I mean, my partner's my wife. She's a lawyer. And we've been big and small, big and small. We were in, California, Florida. We were doing 20 states, a long time. It's just a hassle. And, we decided just because there's too many people doing things their own way. And I didn't like that. So I'm like, let's go more boutique style. A couple of people handling the file, but we handle the file. And we're very experienced. The ones talking to you are the ones handling your file. So we know what's going on in court. We know what's going on in the meetings. We know what's happening when the clients call us. I give them my direct line. Doesn't mean you call me every 5 minutes. Doesn't mean I'm going to answer every 5 minutes. But we have a secure portal, messages. Because, the phone tag thing in the old days, that has to go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you get my direct line that you could call or text me on without abusing it. We always try to get back to everybody, and they could come in and we could do a phone call or a Zoom, whatever people want to do.
Yeah, that's great. Well, you talked a minute ago about the fact that, at one point you were doing a lot of volume in a number of states for bankruptcies and so forth. And then you've chosen to go this more boutique route. And so it made me think of, if you look back at your career, what have been sort of the pivotal moments in your, the development of your law practice? Whether it was
what you just said, like when I first started out, it was all volume. It was a high volume. I mean, we did 13, so also chapter 7 is 13. Actually, I started out doing bill consolidation, which was kind of a pain because, I'm like the bookkeeper paying, but then people actually, when you're consolidating, you really just need to file. So I just stopped doing that. It's like people could do a 13 or could do a 7, or they could go to a bill consolidation company, but not me. So I saw all that. So I was just doing volume marketing in the Sun Times paper, put out an ad. That's why everyone else did it. I just did like everybody else. And then there's yellow pages, and then there's the TV. I mean, you're spending 10, 20, 30,000 more sometimes on marketing, because you got to have then 2 yellow page ads because everyone else does. And then you got to have all the staff, and you have all the satellite offices, 5 offices and 30 people on staff. Now you got to do more cases. I started my firm doing everything myself. I didn't even have a computer. I used to have the petitions. I watch the Bears game and handwrite them, including the creditor list. And I have a typist. And then I go to BK court with like Marshall Field shopping bags. And back then he used to stamp everything and, 4 copies, and then mail them. So then I started hiring people to do different parts so I didn't have to do it. So I knew how everything worked. And then later on, technology came, which really, really helped. But back then you needed to be downtown, and you need to have all the staff, and then you have all, open on Saturday, and people were coming or not coming, and all this overhead. And it was ridiculous. So then about 01 to 01, 02, when they started doing the ECF, electric case filing, that was pretty nice. The next thing you know, they had the BAP-CEPA, the Bankruptcy Abuse Prevention and Consumer Protection Act, which is a BS name and just a con, but that's what they call it. And that was the big 2005 Reform Act, right? There was a deadline. People, they were to start doing it. So everyone's rushing to file. So then it was like, we had an office in Florida. I was doing some business debt arbitration down there, and wasn't doing a lot of bank. I didn't want to do it. And then the floodgates opened because some people needed it. But then it was like, I didn't need all the staff. I could cut the fee, just do it myself. They actually pay me. I actually make more money. I have people to monitor and pay, and who's coming in late, and all that kind of stuff. And from there, it just kind of worked out.
You have sort of done both sides, right? You've gone for volume, and now you've gone the boutique route. Yeah. And it sounds like in some cases, quality of life is better as a boutique firm. And so one of the questions I always like to ask lawyers in these conversations is, what is your definition of success? I'm curious, like when you think about your practice and like what success looks like for Kevin Benjamin, what do you think about?
Well, it kind of goes with the other question, like finishing on that on the boutique style. It's not a matter of if you need a 7, I'll do it, right? But I'd rather have less volume, more quality client, and actually be able to represent people properly. It goes to the success you're just talking about, because now it's more rewarding because I have direct contact with people who, 95, 97% really appreciate you. There are some jerks still don't really appreciate you. It happens. But people understand like why I'm doing something and how I'm doing it. And I get so many people saying, "Oh my God, no one told me that before," or they're calling different lawyers, and they only give them 5 minutes, and I give them like an hour sometimes. So that's why smaller, plus with technology, you didn't need a lot of people. Less volume, manage your caseload. You know what I'm saying? Slow, steady growth. Personal success is actually kind of what's happened post-COVID. I mean, COVID decimated the business, right? But it's back now. But the lessons that learned from COVID, like Zoom court and chapter 7 and 13 meetings on phone or Zoom now, It's just more of a streamlined life, and the ECF system, and for federal at least, getting so much better is. I filed cases from Aruba before. You know what I'm saying? And you can do it anywhere. It's just nice because you don't have to run around. I don't have to be till 10, 12, 2, 3, 4 in the morning in the office. I'm not kidding. That was common, right? You're putting out fires all during the week, or if you're doing volume, then you got calls, and next thing you know, you can't get your work done until the night. But then guess what? Sometimes you got to be open at night because people are coming in, right? Then you get mentally exhausted. You got to do your motions and stuff, and then you're there all night. And that wasn't very rewarding. Now it's a more of a work-life balance because I'm in the office now. Sometimes I could work from home, but I mean, I bring my laptop home, and I could be playing with my dog and watching the ball game and work on this case. But it's like not like work. You know what I'm saying? So and now people are used to like not having to come into the office. Most of them don't even want to. You don't need to, wear a suit and tie all day and sit around because someone's coming in. And so in that respect, you could control the volume by the marketing. So as far as like quality of life, how many cases do you want or need? Like I haven't marketed for a month. I'm going to do it again. I mean, I'm marketing, different ways, like SEO and some other stuff. I was doing also local service ads. I've been doing that for a while. And I haven't done it because that's like I can't manage I'm busy right now. And the marketing also is different because now online or SEO, it's not like the old days. And because I do some direct mail on tax stuff, but basically a lot of it's just electronic, right? Now you don't have to be like, on TV spending all this money. So your budget is more. I can go to Wisconsin for a week and just work out of there. And we couldn't do that before if you had to like be at the office or
Yeah.
got to be in court because you got to be in there in person. That's success, is just how I could streamline the business boutique style, but also with the technology and the lessons learned from the pandemic with the Zoom courts is actually pretty nice at the end of the day.
You actually started going into this, so maybe I'll ask you a couple more questions, then we'll wrap it up. But so, what have you found that works for you from a marketing perspective?
Depending on the area of law, too, your company actually performs. I mean, the SEO we're doing with you seems like it's more so than it was a year ago. But a year ago was good, especially the last few months on the SEO is getting better. Also, we do a foreclosure campaign with you that seems to be working, right? So other than that, like for the tax stuff and the Facebook ads, they're not working so well. Pay per click, like the foreclosures working, the taxes that we're doing that separately, that's starting to work. Probably like for tax, maybe there's like lien letters and marketing to other professionals. That's just for referrals, stuff like that. But as far as the direct marketing, could be local service ads for Google or pay per click.
Just what your experience has been with Facebook ads. You alluded to that, like maybe the leads not being as strong there. And then this is for my own learning, because we do actually a lot of Facebook advertising on what we do for our own business. But we wonder, like, I'm not sure people, when they have a bankruptcy issue, I'm not sure how Facebook plays into it.
We're not marketing for bankruptcy on Facebook. It's more tax, but Facebook in general is bankruptcy or tax. A lot of them are just tire kickers, so it's more of a long game, but how much do you want to pay for the long game? You know what I'm saying? Pay per click is more like direct response, like, hey, I need help like now, which is kind of what I want, like I have a call with someone doing my Facebook campaign, like right after this. And I've been talking to them. I'm like, I get a lot of leads. I'm not interested in it. They're showing me the impressions. This doesn't mean anything to me, right? Am I getting a qualified lead or someone I can help? If someone wants to hire me like now, not someone just wants to say hello or, try to get the free legal advice. So I don't want just a bunch of leads that I'm chasing around. I want someone like, who's qualified and, so the marketing is key. It's finding the right marketing because and that all qualifies with the boutique style and the success thing. If you find the right marketing and with people that actually need help and actually want to hire somebody and they can control your volume and do things basically remotely because you don't really have to see anybody. It's actually kind of easy and rewarding, because I've been doing it for so long. So it's like easy.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that about, just going back to the Facebook thing. Like we tend to think of leads in terms of two categories. Mm-hmm. There are marketing qualified leads, which means somebody is interested in a topic.
Right.
Like I'm interested in maybe at some point doing a bankruptcy or whatever it might be. But there's what's more important and what's more valuable, frankly, for a time-starved attorney and for us is an SQL, a sales qualified lead, which means they're interested, they have intent to buy right now, they have acute pain, they have budget,
Right.
right? And so what we found is PPC tends to be really strong at finding those SQLs. Bankruptcy lawyer near me, foreclosure lawyer near me, whatever it might be. Whereas, Facebook and those other things tend to be more brand oriented, more marketing oriented. And so I'm not surprised to hear you say like, hey, the leads that I get aren't quite ready to go. They need some nurturing.
I mean, with you guys, like on the foreclosure, if a client fills out the thing, we have qualifying questions, and you guys ask them, and it's nice to get the call or the lead. Sometimes they maybe just go on the site, but they fill out the qualifying questions. So I know are they in foreclosure or not, what the deal is, and all my questions. So when I talk to them, I kind of have an overall idea of what I'm going to do before I even talk to them.